Hello humans, welcome to the planet Earth. Welcome to Connected Geek Tech Tips, day number 5, episode number 5. We are talking about mobile safety today. If you have joined us this past week, you have learned a lot about social media and how it impacts you. Earlier in the week we talked about how people are stalking your tech and your social media, stalking how you are being perceived on the internet when it comes to possibly getting a job, just your digital footprint, as well as financial institutions looking at your social media for your businesses to potentially not get the monies that you think that you deserve. So tonight we are going to talk about how that impacts you on your mobile device. So I want to jump right into a PowerPoint because I have a demo that I want to show you that's going to give you a very high overview on how to keep your device and you safe from people not getting information from you, as well as when you're going into your social media apps, you are getting people not looking at your stuff, because our phones are always on. They're always in front of us. They're always something's happening in front of us at all times. So let's just jump right into the PowerPoint, and we're going to go over here. We've already seen this PowerPoint, so we're going to play from this slide. So thank you for joining us today. This is this week, January 18th, 2019. A shout out to my friend Drew. Happy birthday to him. So first thing is first, hello humans. That's what I just said at the beginning. It is the planet Earth, and you can find me at Connected Geek. And that's me, Larry Miller. First things first, we're going to I've already recapped the week, and the week says that we are now at mobile safety. Mobile safety equals you and your phone, and we're going to go over that in a demo in a little bit, so stand by. Mobile safety. So some of these bullet points are really something you probably already know, but let's just go over them anyway. Always keep your phone with you. Don't set it down. Don't give it to somebody else to hold, because sometimes you can get lost. People can do things to your phone that if you leave it unlocked and you stay logged into your social media, guess what? They can post for you, and they can look at things that maybe you don't want people to see. Check out emails. They can see text messages. Just keep your phone with you, and just put it in your pocket, put it in your purse. Make sure your purse is locked, zipped, or buttoned. Just be careful where you put in your information. Be careful with your number. Just don't give it to anybody unless you know them or trust them. It's important to keep that information to you. We share so much information these days. Let's try and keep some of the things close to our chest. So Chris and EJ, thanks for joining us tonight. We're talking about mobile safety. Next is, as I mentioned a minute ago, don't lend your phone to someone else, because guess what? They can probably lose it. And if you're going to put it someplace, put it in your pocket, put it in your purse, put it in your coat pocket, and make it zipped or closed. So that way it's always safe. Another thing you want to do is use a 4-digit PIN, 6-digit PIN, a swipe number, or swipe character, or put a star on it. Some phones can, like an Android phone, you can do a C or D or whatever you want to do. Just have a PIN, because it keeps your information so much more safe if you do that. Moving on, another thing we can do, and I'm going to show you a demo about this in a bit, is how to switch off your Bluetooth. Also switch off your GPS or your geo-tracking if you don't want that information there to be shared with the world. What I mean by doing that is, as I mentioned earlier in the week, when you post something to your social media or to your social clouds, if anything is geotagged or location tagged, they're going to know exactly where you are. And if you don't feel safe out in when you're out going shopping or going to the bar or something, it's important to, when you're posting that kind of information, even though it's, it's fun and you want to have some fun with your friends and you want to, share it with them as well as others. For example, on Facebook, when you post your picture or your status, if it has a little globe next to the post, that means the whole world, literally the whole world who has Facebook can see your information. They can go and look at all the things that you've been posting. And I mentioned earlier in the week, all of that information is archived somewhere. All that information is put somewhere. So the more information you put out there, the more information can be retrieved and stored someplace else. And I don't want to scare you, but that means that somebody else can grab that information and save it locally to their phone, or they can save it to their computer. A lot of times they save that information for potentially stealing your identity. We're going to talk about that in another series, but it's important to know that anytime you post anything, just turn things off that you don't want people to see or do around it. There are so many things to do in regards to cell phone safety. Everything from your kids, if you have kids, or if you have friends that don't know much about how a smartphone works. People say, "Oh yeah, I love my phone. I do everything on it." Well, a lot of times they don't even know what it can do. Here's some safety tips, and there's this link down there shows you 50 tips on smartphone safety. It says it's for kids, but there's some very rudimentary parts on there that talk about how just to keep your phone safe and keep you safe. I'll put them in the links in the show notes so you guys can click on it and go into it. Or we're going to go into a demo. I'm going to take me a second to get this all set up. So just stand by. I'm going to close this. See. You can see the pretty moon, and I'm going to turn this off. We don't need this on there. We are going to go open up a little app over here. So just bear with me for just 1 second. I don't want that, but I do want the app. Okay, so I'm going to show you okay. And now you can see that I have on my screen my settings, which is kind of neat, and you can see you can scroll up and down. It's just a neat little function I found on my computer. And if you want to know more about this app, just let me know. I'll also put the link to the app in the show notes. This is just for iPhone. I'm sure there's an Android version, but I'm using a Mac to display this particular show tonight. And I'm using eCam, which I'll also put in the show notes. So what I really want to show you is really only a couple things, and we're going to go into your Wi-Fi settings and your Bluetooth settings and your location tracking settings. So in Wi-Fi, you definitely want to make sure that you're connected to a Wi-Fi that has the little lock on it. If you can see that, I'm going to try and move my mouse over the specific spot. So see this little tiny lock? As long as you have a lock next to your Wi-Fi, it's in a secure, or I should say more secure, connection to the internet than if it doesn't have a lock next to it. If you have, if you need to connect to the Wi-Fi and it doesn't have a lock, make sure you do not use your password or any type of other information will potentially, it's called captured. there's people that can sit out in the world, and let's say you're at a hotel lobby and you're typing in your information about you want to surf the internet to look up a restaurant nearby. Well, the restaurant requires you to log in to get specific information about that, or you want to buy some food and have it delivered. Well, if it doesn't have a lock next to the Wi-Fi, there's this potentiality that somebody somewhere may be sitting somewhere capturing all that traffic coming in and out of that Wi-Fi. They could get your password and then log into that. It's just a gateway to get into other things about you. So just pay attention to that. One other thing is, when you're out in the world and you're not using a Bluetooth headset or your Bluetooth speakers or anything of that nature, just turn it off. Just click, turn it off. It's all done. If it's not connected to your car because you want to listen to music, just when you go into a restaurant or you're going out to the bar for the weekend, turn off your Bluetooth. It's one less avenue for people to get into your phone. There are all kinds of tools and nefarious things out there that could potentially get into your information and your phone via Bluetooth. And it doesn't take much to do, because you can just, if you ever took a moment and looked at how you connect to things, a lot of times it just says all zeros just to connect. Well, it does the reverse just to connect to you. Sometimes they just require just a couple of numbers and it gets you in it, and it's not very hard to break in or hack, as they would say. So there's obviously your cellular information. One thing you might want to consider is turning your roaming off, your voice roaming. That way you can make sure that you're not, if you're over by Mexico or Canada, sometimes your phone would automatically roam to those other areas, and that could potentially get you into a different network or a different carrier that is not secure as the one that you're currently in. I use Verizon, but there's one in Canada called Rogers Wireless. That's an AT&T company, but you don't know what's out there that's not secure versus what is secure. Let's go over here, and we're going to go down to there is, give me a second, I have to find it. It's location. Okay. I lost it. Sorry guys, I'm trying to, I know what I meant to show you. So, just going to give you an example. If we're going to go into, I have a lot of apps, so give me a second. I'm going to go to Facebook, just because that's what we've been talking about a lot this week. So going to Facebook. I mentioned earlier about location tracking. Well, 90% of all apps want to know where you are and what you're doing, because if they know where they are, they can advertise to you specifically. An example in the Facebook, services location, it says always. You can say never, only while using the app, or always. Never, always using the app. It's important that if you don't want Facebook or any other applications that are using Facebook to not know where to know where you are, just click never. And now, Facebook, through my iPhone, will not know where I am unless I tell it to. That kind of information maybe I don't want to share with Facebook for the time being, or for if I'm going out to a restaurant or a bar and I don't want those people to know what I'm doing, that's what you need to do, is turn that off. Same thing with if you want to try and save your minutes while you're out and about, just turn off cellular data. Just a little button down here where it says cellular data. I just clicked the little button and it switched green. Now I'm going to switch mine back to always, because I personally don't mind if Facebook knows where I am, because then I can tell my friends and my family where I am based upon my Facebook profile. And another example is that there's let's say this Evernote. I use it. It's a note-taking application. And notice I changed it to say while using that. But you notice it doesn't also have a always. So some apps don't have an always option. I like to know where I'm taking my notes in my Evernote, because then it helps me understand where I was when I thought of something. Now, we know that Google does everything, knows everything about us, more so than we should. Now, it's important to, if you don't want Google through your iPhone, just turn it off. Say never. That way, it doesn't track where you are. It's important to notice when you are doing things inside of these apps, not to give them too much information if you don't want to. Personally, I don't mind. It's just because that's what I do. Now, I'm going to go back to my main screen. We're going to go into Facebook for a second, because that's what we've been talking about recently. And I'm going to go into there's a settings option down here. You notice inside of here, there's settings, there's privacy, settings, privacy shortcuts. We're going to go into the settings option. Inside the settings option, there's all kinds of information here. You have everything from your login to where you've been logged in, if you want to use two-factor authentication, all kinds of advanced features. I strongly suggest that you go through this side of your Facebook periodically and look, because it's presented a little bit differently on your computer. And since we spend so much time on our iPhones anyway, or our Androids, or sometimes it's just better to look at it in this point of view, because then you can see what you're trying to protect yourself from. Just want to give you an example. So earlier in the week, I talked about apps that are using how do I say this? Oh, I don't want to do this. Sorry, guys. I want to all right. So it didn't show me what I wanted to. That's all right. What I'm trying to show you is there's a... Oh, this is what I wanted to show you. Sorry about that. So here's some apps that have access to my Facebook authorized logins. Let's say I don't want the X ID. I just click it off. Smartwatch me. I just close them. These particular things will now no longer have access to my Facebook. And there's another area in here that I'm going to go into a tutorial later on to show you what I'm talking about. But basically, this area is very important to keep yourself safe and keep from people getting information from you. Oh, here's that area I was talking about. It's called apps and websites. And if you go into here, the settings turned on. So anytime an app, it's telling me that I can give that app access to at Facebook. Anyway, there's all kinds of settings in here, and once again, I'm sorry. I just showing you that there's so many different things in here that you could get lost, just like I'm getting lost, because they just recently changed all this information, and I wasn't prepared for that piece of it. I just wanted to show you that inside of here is a lot of information about how to keep your phone safe and secure. The number one thing I want to tell you is just go into your settings piece of your phone, Android or iPhone, and look at your Wi-Fi. Make sure it has a lock next to your wireless access point, SSID as it's called. Make sure it does have a password. If you don't want, you definitely don't want one that doesn't have a password. Make sure your Bluetooth is off when you're outside of your place that you want to use it. So like your headset or your car or your speaker that you want to play music on. But when you're not using it, I strongly suggest you turn it off. One note about Bluetooth. There are some retail stores that when you walk into their building, And this is kind of freaky that it happens, but they can track you because of your phone the moment you walk through the door to the moment you walk out. There's wireless access points inside the building, and there's also little beacons that reach out to your phone, to your Bluetooth, and just listen to what your phone is doing. And it can determine where you are inside of the building based upon your phone. So when I say mobile safety is important, I can't strongly enough tell you that it's so important to make sure that when you have certain things turned on, make sure you periodically turn them off or review them so you can make sure that you're safe out in the world. Another thing that you might want to consider is there's a personal hotspot on mine. Make sure you turn that off when you're not using it. If I had mine turned on and I gave you this password, you can connect to my phone and then connect to the internet. And all of a sudden now I'm using all my data. Why would I want to do that? So if you want your computer to connect to your phone and go out to the internet, which a lot of people do, when you're done doing that, make sure you turn it off. And then, as you notice, it requires Bluetooth to be on for the iPhone. I don't want to do that because I don't want to use this right now, but it's important to note that if this is on, people can connect to your phone and then to the internet. I guess I should change that password now, shouldn't I? Anyway, that's just an overview of how we can use this system to be as safe as we can when we're using the internet. I want you guys to know that this safety is near and dear to my heart, and I want you to know that if you have any questions or any help that you need to get through these types of hurdles with your phone, I can help you through them. I'm going to be doing a series starting probably in 2 weeks on how to lock down your phone, like we're talking about through Facebook, and how we can do more security related things to your computer, to your phone, to your overall presence on the internet. Hopefully you got some value out of this past week. I'm hoping that you guys have learned something new about social media, learned something about how what you do on the internet is a direct reflection of who you are, and sometimes that can and will prevent you from getting the services, the jobs, the monies that you need, want, and desire. And if you don't pay attention to how you are representing yourself on the internet, then that potential post about going out and partying over the weekend could prevent you from getting those services, jobs, monies that you want, need, and desire. So I've enjoyed this past week helping you through this, and if you guys have any questions or comments or suggestions on what you would like to see in the future, please let me know. I'm going to be having an interview tomorrow with a friend of mine. His name is Sean Fair at 12:30. We're going to talk about this social media from his point of view, and we're going to get any questions that you might have about social media for him, because he's been doing some really good marketing for himself through social media and has gotten some really good opportunities. So come back tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. That is what is today? Today's the 18th. That's the 19th on Saturday at 12:30 p.m. And then Sunday, we are going to talk about what we're going to do the next week. So stay tuned for that, because I'm not going to tell you, because I want you to come back and watch. Keep an eye on this channel, this Facebook channel, this Facebook page, and we're going to also do a lot more series on regards to tech tips. I'm going to be doing another series that talks about the 100 tech tips that help you and your computers be better. So stay tuned for that as well. All right, guys, I've run out of topic and I've run out of things to say. And more things to say tomorrow at 12:30. Come back and do that. So once again, we're keeping the world connected one geek at a time, and be excellent to each other. Talk to you soon. Take care.